All right, so we'll jump right into it. So welcome, guys. Thank you. I'm Tariq, founder of Event Hawk. Excited to be sharing this with you. And let me just start by saying, wow, the turnout is it's pretty nuts for the people who are interested in this event. Nobody ever wants to come out when I have something to say about Event Hawk. Never this much. So I guess no, the off season is definitely scary, especially depending where you're at. I mean, we're in Chicago, so it's definitely a big thing for us. Super stressful. How do we make enough money to survive through the winter? Do we how far do we hustle for? Do we try to get events now? Do we wait? It's a lot of different things. So we got a bunch of people joining in today. We're going to hear. It's just open forum. We don't really have a curriculum or any kind of outline. We're just going to kind of go for it. So if you guys are on Zoom, Facebook, you're more than welcome to watch there and join in on the comments. But if you guys want to join in on the discussion, ask questions, and chime in with some of the things you guys do in the off season or some ideas you have, then go ahead and join us on Zoom. That link is in the comments. We have Tony Castle here from Texas, Bill Garbaz. Sorry, I'm sure I'm saying your name way wrong. But we got a few others joining as well who'll be chiming in. So we'll just jump right into it. Tony kind of got in here first. So we'll start with Tony. You want to tell us a little bit about your operation, how long you've been in business, how things are going, and what you're doing this off season, and what you've done in the past, and if things are different pre-COVID, post-COVID, how that's looking like for you.
Thank you, Tariq, and thank you for doing this. We own Spolmy Rotten Party Rentals in Lubbock, Texas. We've been in business since 2005. We started by just renting hot tubs, which was just a miserable failure of an experience. And we've advanced. We have probably 25,000 square feet of tenting. We've got 110 inflatables. We've got seating for 6,000. Pipe and drape. We do conventions, other stuff, but we do well, but I think we fight the same thing a lot of people fight is the January, February timeframe. It just dies. And to me, for us, the biggest difference is we can sustain through December, where you guys in Chicago may end up in October being done. And so we're fortunate in that regard, but it's building up a lot of funds. And when you get into the larger tents and such, you really want to maintain your crew throughout the year, if possible. And so I absorb a lot of labor in the wintertime just to make sure I keep the guys that know what they're doing. Otherwise, I end up on crew constantly. And I don't like that. That especially changed with COVID. We changed a lot of our rental operations and such, and we've really not gone back except for that we are working weekends with major events now. But the backyard stuff and everything is just Friday to Monday rentals. But as far as balancing the winter, yeah, I hope nobody's looking for some magic bullet, because there's just not one. It's depending on your area. I don't know where Bill's from, what part of Florida he's from, but Florida, Southern Texas, Arizona, some parts of California, they can maintain year-round operations. You guys in Chicago can't, we can't, not for outdoor events anyway. And so January for us it's a big time for galas and things of that nature. January and February times galas and all sorts of symposiums and such in our area. And so we try to get the pipe and drape. We do the carpeting for the convention centers and stuff like that, but it's still, very limited income compared to the regular season. And so, my theme with our business from the get-go has always been to diversify out and try multiple different things to either sustain a reasonable income throughout the year or even offset the off season. And so our biggest off-season promotion that we do is it's a holiday shop for the kids in the elementary schools, the Santa's Workshop. And we do it differently than others. We don't just pack a box up and send it to the school and say, here, sell this. We have these rolling carts that we merchandise out. And pre-COVID, we were actually running the sale for the schools. One day at a time, we'd do 34 schools in 15 days. Because we just operate between the Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's a lot of work, but it's a very good income. And honestly, net wise, I think you net better than you do doing rentals. But it is a very seasonal thing. And so we call our Snowman Village. You can look at the website at snowman-village.com. And like I say, it's just where the kids come in, they buy their mom and dad gifts or grandma and grandpa gifts, stuff of that nature. It's a fundraiser for the school in a sense. They get 25% of the sale. And we go and buy closeout merchandise and good merchandise, but stuff that is dated. I'm in the area of Texas Tech, so a lot of Texas Tech merchandise that we sell, and the school is charged nothing. We deliver it, we set it up, We provide the registers and everything. And that we let the school run the sale now. And last year, even with COVID, I had 14 schools operate and they had really good sales. The kids needed something to do. The kids love it. It's a good money for the school. But I also have some schools that'll run $9,000 in their sale. And so, it is good income for us. Most of the products we do, we try to get a 4 to 5 time markup on. So if I pay 20 cents for it, it's $1 item. That's a big one. And then we also own a linen company that we started called Texas Linen Rentals. And the linens tend to maintain year round. So somebody that can't start their own linen company can certainly get with A1 or Choice or whoever's in their area. If you're in Texas, I can provide them and provide linens accordingly for, the galas and the events and such. And it's a great upsell, even if you're paying $10 for a 120 round. A lot of areas you can get 18, and it's not big money, but it's a little add-on to help you out. But we don't do a lot. I mean, honestly, Donna and I take the month of January off and we go cruising. And so this year we couldn't cruise, so we went to Mexico for 3 weeks. But it's one of those things that we're a little more established than a lot of people. But I think honestly, if you're solely focused on renting bouncers and inflatables and you're going in the winter, you're pouring gas on a fire that already burned out if there's snow on the ground and everything else. You got to find something to diversify out and change.
So just to clarify, when we met in Chicago, you were telling me a little bit about, so you buy products at like for pennies on the dollar, and then you take them to schools, and like my kids have bought me stuff like Number One Dad and like all these little like dollar store things, but they pay a lot more for them. But basically you guys go out, even though you guys hunt these closeout stores around the country, and you buy all these, you go to conventions too, right? So you buy stuff for pennies on the dollar, and then you go to the school. Now you don't staff these events, right? You just give them the product and they put them in a magazine or whatever, and they sell them for you. You don't really have to, you just have to provide the products, right?
Prior to COVID, we were staffing the events. We would run the sale for the school and we did the entire sale in one day. I had a school that had 920 students and we'd knock their school out in one day. We'd bring in 4 cashiers and the students would come in 15 minutes per class and they just shop the day away. We set up for the school. We provide their computer, cash register, printers for the receipts, everything, the bags. And we really try to cater to the school to make it easier on them. And they sign up like crazy. But yeah, it's something you say pennies on the dollar. That is true until you realize that I can buy that item for $3, but I have to buy 2,000 of them to get that price. And so, I know a lot of people are not in a position to do that. I'm very fortunate that our company's done well, and Don and I've done well through life, that we've been able to build this up and grow it. But it's something, if somebody was interested in getting into, I'd be entertained by, being a provider. I wouldn't make a full 5 time on it, but we could make arrangements where we could provide a decent amount of product depending on the schools they got and such. I don't even, at this point, we don't even inventory the schools. If a school is going to run it and they're going to run a $5,000 sale, I hate to say it this way. I don't care if some kid stole $50 worth of stuff or something. I'm not going to charge back the school, but part of it also with the Snowman Village, the schools that participate get up to 15% off their fall festivals or their buddy day parties. It's 10 to 15 depending on the value of the event. And so it's very good for the school. It helps us keep our rental out there when the schools are having events and such. And, it's helped us maintain throughout the year easily. We make enough to pay our payroll January and February.
So maybe we could switch to where you get the stuff and how you land the schools as well as, your offer. So let's switch over to the linen then. So that's another one that I thought was interesting. We tried getting into linen and it was terrible storing them and organizing them and keeping track of inventory. It was just a nightmare. But you were telling me how you can, instead of buying your own linen, you can just you can get them from one of these companies and basically just throw it out when you're done and still make a profit. Or
it's not so much throw it out, but you want to present a nice linen. You really do. You want something. You don't want something that you buy from the cheapest manufacturer and it comes in the box and it's all wrinkled to crap and looks like hell at their wedding, because that's just your reputation on the line. But you have like I say, you have A1 linens, you have BBJ, you have choice linens. I think there's one down in Austin as well. We own Texas Linen Rentals, and we press them. They're on hangers, and we ship them in a box. You hang them up when they get there. They're delivered Tuesday or Wednesday. You take them out, rent them to the event, put them in a bag, and ship them back. And yeah, we may charge you $9 or $10 a linen plus shipping, but you can get in Chicago, especially, you can get 18, 22 bucks a linen. And if you do nice linens and you do a bunch of them, where our bread and butter is, our linen company is a wholesale provider, and we do laundry services as well for the local venues and churches and such. So the linen company by itself, I mean, in the summertime is running about 45,000 a year or 45,000 a month in gross sales, just processing linens and local orders. And so, and that does with Christmas parties, and then you get into the early part of the year, January, February, and the galas and stuff like that. But we've got a 6,000 square foot warehouse that's bursting at the seams, full of linens and racking up to the ceilings, 12 foot tall, 14 foot tall, whatever it is. And it's really a little more intense than I thought it was. But I've got 4 full-time staff working back there just doing that. But it's a good add-on for what we do. And the reason we chose to start the linen company was because our company, Spoil Me Rotten, we were subleasing from a company called GBS out of Dallas, who I would not recommend. That's why I didn't mention them earlier. But we were paying more in shipping than it was costing us to finance the linen company, building the building and financing the equipment. And so it just made sense that, if we're going to spend this much, we're going to eat the labor on top of that until we get busy. But yeah, we got it busy. All the venues use us. The problem, you have companies like UniFirst and Ameripride around town that provide cheap linens. But when you fold them out, your blacks are olive green and drab gray, and some of them might be actually black or something. And ours are very well cared for and washed, and so you don't have food stains still on them when you take them out of the plastic or anything. And so you can go high end or you can go low end, and I prefer to stay on high end because it's my company's reputation on the line.
Love it. Awesome. For offering to help with the Santa's workshop and the linen. So anybody who's interested, we can possibly put Tony. We'll get you guys in touch with Tony. He's offering to help because a lot of time when you want to buy some of this stuff, you have to buy like gigantic volumes, like thousands
Pallets.
of price pallets. Yeah. So Tony's offering, instead of you having to buy a pallet or 10 pallets or whatever, he's offering that he can help you out with getting started with a smaller amount, which is huge. I mean, really, it's not worth it to do something like that unless you already have the business, because I don't know about you, but I've made plenty of investments before I had the customer base and regretted it. So thank you, Tony, for that. Appreciate it. Let's jump over to Bill. Bill, you want to tell us about your operation and some of the things you guys do in Florida?
Yeah, so my name is Bill Garbez. I'm the owner of Bounce Orlando. Been in business since the beginning of 2008. I started buying inflatables at IAAPA in 2007, and I had to hit the ground running because I worked full time for Lockheed Martin for a lot more years after that, and always had a business manager running everything. But starting the business in 2008, if those have been around that long, remember, we kind of went into a recession. So it's not a great time to start a business. Nonetheless, we did well. We continued to grow over the years. I'm now running the business full time myself. And as Tony alluded to, we're in Central Florida. We're in Orlando. So we don't really have an off season. We have, a slower season, but we don't really have an off season. Especially, honestly, a little plug for Event Hawk, Tariq. But, once we started with Event Hawk late last year, our January started looking a whole lot more like a March. So that's really helped us out a lot. I think, from my perspective, just looking at more so when things slow down, I kind of think about, some of the some of the shifts we did when the pandemic hit. And maybe that's about the best I can contribute to this forum would be, you know, the old adage, you know, a penny saved is a penny earned, right? So what kinds of things in the down season can you be doing to save money? What kinds of costs can you cut so that you're not bleeding so bad in the off season? And, you know, like when during the pandemic, when we shut down for a couple months, you know, we took vehicles off insurance or lowered the insurance on them to where we were just covering comp and collision. You know, we cut a few things off, cell phones and things like that that were not company numbers, but you know, I think that's something to think about, really, to brainstorm. For everybody's going to be a little bit different, but brainstorm in your organization where you can save costs. What don't you need during that off season? You know, that might mean for some of you, you know, you don't need internet at the warehouse. You can have it just in your home office because it's slow, that kind of thing. So just some things to think about.
I have to cut you off. I did that and I forgot that my cameras need the internet at the warehouse. So my camera and my security system. So that was not a good idea. So you want to think about that if you got cameras and security there. We were in the dark for a bit. But yeah, no, so cost cutting. What about, I mean, I know you've been around for a while. I mean, fall festivals, they need inflatables and obstacle courses, churches in October. What are some things that have worked for you, and how do you market them, and how do you get those people? Are they just finding you naturally through your ads, or are you doing anything different to get some of those fall and winter events?
So yeah, so when we talk about off season and fall, those are like opposites for us, because fall season is actually one of our busiest seasons of the year. It's just, in fact, I think it's probably the single, like October is probably the single busiest month of the year because of all the fall festivals and stuff. So again, it's a little bit different for us. And we haven't done, when we started initially, I was doing church packages and things, Tariq, like some of the things that you've presented to us. But really over the years, we've just developed, quite a clientele and relationships that these people start booking with us months in advance to make sure that they get what they need for their fall festival. And usually those events are, they're nice big ticket events. So they're not, they're not $300 or $400. They're in the thousands of dollar range. So that makes for a very nice October. And here the weather, the weather is really, it dictates a lot of how well the quote off season goes. If we have cold months, if we have a cold December, January, it does slow down more significantly. If we have a warm, December, January, man, we got water slides going out, that's the crazy thing about Central Florida. So hopefully that helped.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. We'll jump over to Alex. Thanks for joining us, Alex. You want to tell us a little bit about your operation? Alex is definitely a good one to follow if you're up north.
So we're in North Carolina, so we stayed pretty busy up until October. Like Bill said, we do a lot of fall festivals, a lot of schools and churches. I'm in the Bible Belt, so we get a lot of churches. They do crazy amounts of fall festivals. So we actually got like a Bull, the Meltdown, a lot more obstacle courses, mainly just to, satisfy them. Come November, things slow down a lot. So I ended up buying a trackless train, and I thought Polar Express. So sorry. We wrapped our train with Christmas lights like crazy, and that took off like hot. I mean, that was out pretty much 7 or 8 times a week. I've done 3 events with it the same day on a Saturday, 2 on a Sunday. So it goes out like crazy. During the week, what we would do, actually 2 years ago, we started hanging Christmas lights. And the amount of money in that is way more than I expected it to be. The initial upfront cost is expensive. You have to buy, it's not like your normal Christmas lights that people hang at their house. You're not going to Home Depot to buy this stuff. You're buying, a pallet of light bulbs and, cases of string, and you got to like make them individual. You cut to each individual house. So it looks, professional. When we first started, we actually lucked out. There was a company that was going out of business, and we paid, I think it was 50% of the contract, but we got all the equipment and we got the contract. So first year, didn't make that much on it. But then the second year, we got 100% of the contract. We still had all their lights, and we knew a lot more like what we were doing. That helps us tremendously in the off season as far as keeping our main people employed, keeping our lights on at the warehouse, paying insurance and all that stuff. So, I mean, I love it. I mean, it's fun. We don't take on crazy amounts of stuff because when I started to do it, I specifically told my guys, I'm like, I want this to be enjoyable. Like, I love Christmas time. We usually all, wear Santa hats. We're listening to Christmas music. Like, we're all having a good time. But the money it's good. I mean, it's good money. I'm terrified of heights, so it's kind of ironic, but I mean, I'm up there with a harness, like I'm like over cautious, but I'd much rather be over cautious. I mean, I've heard some horror stories of people falling off of roofs, and definitely don't want to be doing that. But even like, we reached out to a couple of like the convention center in Charlotte, and they ended up purchasing lights from us to wrap, and we have like a contract with them. Every 6 months they want us to go out there. We take the lights back down because the trees actually grow, so you have to take the lights down and then re-string it up, and we charge them what we charge originally. So we're making a really good amount of money just pretty much doing the same thing. So you don't even have to, if you're afraid of heights, you can just do trees. You can do like the bottoms of trees. You find, and what I did also, which was awesome, I used all of my contracts from my bounce house company. So I emailed them letting them know, hey, we do Christmas lights as well, sent them some pictures, and we got probably about 20 to 25 houses doing that. And at $1,500 a pop, that's a significant amount of money. And you can do, 3, 4, 5 houses in a day, depending on how, once you learn how to do it, it gets a lot easier. So, I mean, I tell people all the time, if you have, a slow October, especially up north, it's a little different because now, like, the more north you go, now you're dealing with like ice on the roof. So you got to get that done like October, like September, October, because once November hits, November, December, you got, a sheet of ice on the roof. You're not, I wouldn't go on the roof at that point. But then you also have to deal with like, if something goes wrong, you have to go out there and fix it. So it's harder up north. But down south where like we get snow maybe once, twice a season, if that. So, I mean, we kill it with the Christmas lights, man. Like, I love doing it. I always tell people to, give it a try. Like I said, it's kind of an expensive initial upfront cost, but you can get away with doing it, just buying. I mean, you could, just like EPA and all these, groups that we have, there's other Christmas light groups of people that are selling like individual stuff. So you can get into it, cheaper if you buy some used stuff. And at the end of the day, all it is a light bulb and wiring. So it's not hard. It's a lot of fun. And like I said, it keeps my main people busy, which is what I wanted to do for it. I didn't want to do it and make a business completely out of it. I just wanted it to be something to keep them busy. And, I don't make that much money doing it. I mean, I pocket a little bit, but it's nothing crazy. But like I said, I mainly do it just to keep them busy in the off season. So that way, once, the regular bounce house season kicks back up, they're happy and they're still with us and not, out there looking for another job.
So 2 questions. One, do you find it, do you ever get a call, like one of the Christmas lights isn't working, so you have to go and fix that? Like, is it that tedious? Because that's going to happen, right? And
Yeah.
then you use your same inflatable website, because I've seen some people do use their own websites for like groceries and like when COVID happened. So do you have you set up a different website or do you use your own, your same website?
So question one, yeah. I mean, we've had people that are like, hey, one of the bulbs blew, and it's usually 9 times out of 10, it's a quick 5-minute fix. I've had where the only like we've had a raccoon eat through a wire and we had to like trace it back. So that sucked. That was hard. Trying to find that wire was not easy, but the cool thing is like normally it's only a few bulbs. Like it's not like where you go to Lowe's and buy one and one light bulb goes out, the whole entire strand goes out and you have to try to find that strand. If one bulb goes out, okay, it's that bulb right there and you just go twist it out. It's the worst when it's like the very top peak of the house and you have to, then you actually have to climb onto the roof and that's not fun. But normally, it's just a quick ladder, pop it out, you're good to go. With the website, I actually have a website. I don't even think it's live. I don't even use the website. Ironically, I just had my business from the first year and I did a little bit of Facebook. I don't even do like Facebook marketing. I have a Facebook page for the group and that's where I got all my business from. So I do have an active website. I honestly don't know what the web address is anymore. I can't remember it because I don't really tell people to go to it. I just have them, look at my Facebook page and then they like message us on Facebook. But like I was saying, I didn't want to make this like it is like a legit business, but I didn't want to make it like a completely its own business. I kind of wanted it just to be like a small, pretty much like a hobby type thing. I didn't want it to go, I didn't want it to go crazy because I didn't want the stress. We're stressed out enough March through October. I didn't want to go crazy and do, I know people who do $250,000 between September and January on just Christmas lights. I didn't want that. I want 30, maybe 40 houses. That way, when stuff goes wrong, it's an easy thing. It's not, we have 15 houses per day to go fix when you have 500 houses with lights on it. So, like I said, you can scale it up as much as you want to. I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to make enough to keep my guys busy, make me a little bit of money. And then that way, like Tony was saying before, January, February, that's my travel time. So I get all the Christmas lights down the middle of January, and then I just kind of enjoy until March hits, and then we're, back to the bounce houses.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, it's definitely something different. And, I guess wherever you are, you can do that. So, looks like we have a question. Justin, what's up, Justin? I don't know if you have your hand raised. I'm still getting used to this.
Hey, how's it going? No, it wasn't a question. I do snow plowing in the winter.
Okay, so yeah, tell us a little bit about that. Now, I think you were doing that before you started your inflatable business, right?
So I did. Well, my uncle's been snow plowing his entire life since he was a kid. So I kind of was messing around with it as a kid in the truck every now and then. But then I had a snow plow company. I bought a snowplow. I bought a 2500 in intentions of starting a bounce house company, but also like I literally stole the idea to do snow plowing and bounce houses from a company in Maryland. They did a lot. They were at the part of their party rental company where they had a lot of hard rides. So they had a whole bunch of 2500s that they weren't like just sitting there, and it's Maryland, so in the wintertime you can't really. You're not. If they did national circuits, so yeah, some of it went out sometimes, but they had a whole bunch of trucks sitting still. So they got local contracts with their 2500s and started doing plowing with it. And they actually kept people on year round and had them as plow truck drivers, and they had their own routes and all that. So I was just like, oh, maybe I can use the same truck and I can at least keep it going. I did snow plowing, and I'm not snow plowing this year. I'm not doing that. But it's really good money. No, I just don't want to do it. I feel like I can leverage my time doing other stuff. But if I wasn't doing what I was doing, what I'm gonna do this winter, I would definitely be snow plowing still. I'm still thinking about I don't know, because I'm still thinking about doing it and letting my truck go out and we'll have my employee do it. I just don't trust anybody to be able to do that at all. It's really it beats up the trucks for sure. You don't know what you're doing. Yeah. And it's just like, yeah, you got a giant ram in the front of your truck. You let your employee go out and do it. Like listen, I've hit stuff. I'm tired as hell in the middle of the night. It's bad. So yeah, snow plowing. You're always out in the middle of like a blizzard. That's when you make money. If you do want to go do it, like it can be ridiculous. So I made like 15K, 16K this winter, and I worked like less than 100, 150 hours the whole winter. So it can be good sometimes, and then sometimes you get like 3 feet of snow every week.
Yeah,
And it's like, so that's why if you actually do it, the best way to do it is to take enough contracts where you can make enough money for the season and do the rest on call, so that you can just sit there and drive as much as you want. You're not only obligated for so much, and then you can just keep going. Make more money with lots than you do residential. You're using the same truck. It's if you're using truck and trailer, you're pretty much using the same truck, so you can utilize your assets that way too. I always sit there and like I notice they have kids and stuff like that. I always give them business cards for the bounce house company as well. That and snow plowing, like nothing else is going on when it's snowing, so you're able to go do stuff. And if you still can do bounce houses during the day, you're almost 9 times out of 10 working at night, so you can do anything during the day too. So you can still do your like school deliveries or anything like that during the week, like during the week or anything like that as well. But yeah, but you can only do it when you're up north and stuff. But I don't know, snow plowing.
great. Well, thanks for sharing. That's definitely one that's come up a lot. I get requests to do that all the time, out here, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. it's a lot. Man. My dad was a truck driver his whole life, so to me, that's just like anything opposite that, is what I want to do, just because how it goes. But no, it's definitely, and like you said, it's even if you're hanging Christmas lights or doing anything else, you're not going to want to be doing any of that when it's snowing. So you might as well have those contracts. Well, thanks for sharing, man. Appreciate it.
No problem, man.
All right, so I guess we'll kind of go around. You guys can introduce yourselves and ask any questions. I'm just going to kind of go with my screen here, what we have in order. So we have Inverness Inflatables. If you want to tell us a little bit about your operation, any questions you have, or what you're planning to do for this winter.
Hi, everyone. So this is our very first season. So right now we're not quite sure what we're going to do for the winter. We actually had an awesome first summer. We're in west central Florida. So we know we aren't really going to have too much of an off season. We know we are going to slow down a little bit, but I guess we'll see what happens and we'll kind of take it from there.
Well, welcome. Hope you do great. I'll tell you guys one thing we did. For us, when COVID happened, we decided to we thought we were going to go out of business. We thought this was it. So we were going to have our last year. We're going to be super cautious. So we saved up a lot of money, and we were able to take the off season off. And best thing we ever did. So we decided that that's what we're going to do. And what we do, and I guess it's too late for that now, but for next year, if you guys are interested in this, we basically take 25% every Friday. So we have, and I've talked about this a lot, the whole profit first concept. So we have 3 bank accounts. All of our income goes into one bank account, and then all of our expenses go out of another bank account. So our income and expenses don't go out of the same bank account. Well, the third bank account is our off-season account. So that's the account where we take everything that comes into the income account every Friday morning. So let's just say we have $10,000. We take 25% of that every Friday, and we put that in the off-season account. And the off-season account is to cover our off-season expenses. Even if we want to buy some units or whatever, we kind of go with that. And then the rest goes into the regular account. So we have 75% that we can, do for whatever else, paying ourselves, etc. But 25% off of gross, not net, 25% of our gross profits are untouchable. And with that, we make way more than enough. It's hard to do that after the fact because, all your income is usually in one account and your expenses go out of there. So it's like you always feel like you have money, so you just spend. And then the off season, it just kind of blows by. So that's something that helped us big time. But before that, I had this big idea, and I think if we had a Vet Hawk at the time, it would have been much, much better. It would have really took off. But in Chicago, you have certain venues that allow you to bring a bounce house inside for the birthday parties. And most of them don't, but certain ones do. So what I did is I called around and I got a list of like 20 or 30 venues that allow for a bounce house to go in if you have insurance. I talked to them, we didn't put together any contract or anything like that, but I got a yes, because a lot of times people will try to book and they won't talk to the venue, and then we'll find out when it's too late. So what we did was we put them together and we posted it on Facebook that, hey, here's a list of venues where if you have like a January, February, March baby, doesn't mean you have to have no party, right? You could rent one of these venues and, you can have our bounce house there because they already accept it. So we got a few that way, but I think if we had Event Hawk at the time, right now, so far, just this year, we have 1,400 leads and 1,400 contacts in Event Hawk alone. These are not all people who booked with us. Some of them did, some of them didn't. But basically, I can now send out a mass text to all these people and say, here's a list of venues within 10, 20 miles of your area where you can bring a bounce house this off season. And I think that would have done better than nothing. But obviously, we don't know how things are going with Event Hawk with COVID. But I would highly recommend, if you guys are trying to just kind of make use of your equipment, because it is hard to get into a whole nother industry or a whole nother thing. Right now it's August. You guys can get into Christmas lights or snow plowing. All this stuff is possible. But if you just want to leverage your equipment that you already have, these inflatables, then this is kind of something that I would highly recommend you try. Just you want to find out which venues will allow you to bring those in, and then just send a mass email, mass text. And I think, if you word it properly, then I think you can definitely get some interest, so where you can start getting some dates on the books in January, February, March, because like my daughter's born in March. She never gets a bounce house. My son is at the end of May. He gets all of them. So we do a whole cleaning day at the warehouse. We bring out all the inflatables that need to be cleaned. We bring the staff. It's a blast. Like, his birthday is awesome. Hers, not so much. I think that's definitely something, anything that you guys want to do, anything, whether it's Christmas lights or anything, remember that the people who rent from you these bounce houses, they're families who need Christmas lights, who know people at a church, who are gonna need, who know people who need snow plows, etc. So I would highly recommend you guys get, and you can't do this all the time. You can't send out mass text messages, but all your Event Hawk contacts, you have their numbers. That's the key. It's not all about making money now. All the people who didn't book with you, you can still text them and say, hey, we got this, we partnered with this Christmas lights company that are going to give a special offer to anybody who's rented with us or who's in our area. And, you can go ahead and get started now. So that'll get you in their text. They'll have your number. They'll have you saved. They'll get that started. And definitely recommend you guys start to kind of formulate some kind of plan. I don't know if it'll work, or I know it will work to some extent, just how much I haven't tried it. So looking forward to some of you guys trying it out. And I think it'll do pretty well.
Tariq, if I can say real quick, I think, one thing I hear a lot of guys talk about, oh, we're going to go to Apple, we're going to buy all these units and such. It's a great vacation from our wintertime, whatever like that. But, if they're interested in balancing out their winters a little bit, especially in the cold, like Chicago and such, you've got to find items that, aside from inflatables, if you can still handle more inflatables in the winter, in the summertime, great. We've got 105, 110 inflatables, but June to August, nothing but water equipment goes out. And so we have our obstacles and such sitting because it's just too hot. But when you look at, Chicago, for instance, and it's cold. Stores have Black Friday sales, so maybe not last year, but they will this year. We do a lot of barricade, the little bicycle fencing barricades for the Black Fridays, and stanchions for that matter, for crowd control. But within that, they also rent patio heaters, and they rent, hot chocolate machines and things like that, or the big thermos things for distributing hot chocolate to their guests and everything. And so I think it's more so thinking outside the box. If you want to stay the rental side, you may not make what you do in the summer, but at least it's kind of like Alex talking about, if you can make enough to keep your employees working. I've got 38 employees right now, between my front office, my linen, my delivery, everything. I will not keep all of them in the winter, but we still maintain 22, 24 throughout the winter. And I have to go, because like I said, I'm not going to go into the spring with a completely green crew and hope to God they know how to go set up a 40 by 150, or something of that nature, frame tents or something. And so everybody's got to choose their own balancing point. If you're a small single operator, then it's just whatever it fits your needs, so to speak. I've got companies here in town that they, especially with the popularity of the Uber Eats and the stuff of that nature, you got to think about, Christmas gift basket deliveries and things like that. If you're at all creative, you can do gift baskets. I've got a friend in Amarillo that, he doesn't do the lighting outside the house, but he contracts with the wealthier people and he goes and decorates the inside of the house. He decorates their trees, he decorates their hallways, and he uses all the customers' equipment. All he does is decorate it because he's got that finesse and, it's just what he does. My wife can do the same thing. I'm a bull in the china closet when it comes to decorating, but I do what I can. But it's something that if somebody has that talent, why not exploit it and just take advantage of it? He's got a bank that pays him $4,700 to put up the Christmas decor inside the bank, and that's to set up, and they pay him another $2,000 to come back and pick it up after Christmas is over. Now he's got to work, like after bank closing till probably 3 a.m. for 2 nights to get it all done. And he's got a couple of helpers, but there's always options there. People, I think in 2020 with the COVID and everything, a lot of people realize there's some stuff they can do themselves, but they also realize there's a lot of crap they don't want to do anymore, and they're going to pay somebody to do it.
That's definitely good. Yeah. And you're right, everything is up. People are willing to pay crazy amounts for everything this year. So as a business owner, the cards are definitely in your favor. So I think anything you do, I think is there's a lot more potential than any other year. Good point. Thank you. Going over to, let's see here, Shane and Amy. How's it going, guys? You want to tell us about your operation and what you guys think? What are you guys planning for this winter, and any questions you guys have?
So we're pretty small. We're new. We started back in August. So we only have 7 inflatables right now and some other interactive stuff. So we're kind of here for the veteran input. Other than living down by the river off that government cheese, we're gonna see what happens here.
Awesome. Anything you guys think caught your attention from the stuff today? Anything you think there's potential for?
So the
Secret Santa.
the one that Tony was talking about, the Snowman Village, sounds like a really good idea. We live in a really rural community, very community focused, but also kind of poor. So I'm not really sure that the light ones would work out, but people do pay $300, $600 for inflatables also. So I don't know.
Awesome. Well, good luck. Hopefully, whatever you guys do, it picks up. It's hard when you're new, but also your cost. I assume you guys are probably still, you don't have a big warehouse, so it helps that you don't have the kind of expenses that we have, because
Right.
insurance and rent and websites don't have an off season. You got to pay those all year round, unfortunately. So, which was bizarre for me when we first started. Like, what are we paying insurance for 6 months if we're not doing anything? But I get it. They got business too. So, but at least rent is another big one. So hopefully that helps. Sky High Jamie, what's up, man?
Hey, how are you, man?
Where are you located, and what are you doing this off season?
I'm in Melbourne. And I had a crazy idea of setting up a couple obstacle courses and a few bounce houses, and maybe doing a pumpkin patch and letting the inflatables go for free, and just selling pumpkins, seeing how that goes. It's something I saw when I was out in Vegas, and I was over in California, and they had these people had all these Halloween inflatables out there at pumpkin patches, and it was crazy business. But I seen it out there, and I just sold my house, so now I got some money in the bank, and I think I'm gonna go for it. See what it can do.
That's different. You're competing with other pumpkin patches, but they're not going to have that many inflatables. So
They're not gonna, and around here, we're kind of a small town, but it's mostly Boy Scouts and stuff like that. And I don't want to take away from that, but there is nothing fun really to do. The pumpkin patch experience isn't really an experience. It's just go find a pumpkin, where we're going to offer kind of the whole entire experience of like maybe 3 or 4 hours to go find a pumpkin, go plan all the stuff and, maybe have the concessions out there. Probably not, but we'll figure it out. Something I'm just starting to look into.
I love what you said about not charging for the inflatables. You're clearly a smart guy, because it's usually we think money initially, and we did pay per plays twice, and the first time we were scared, so we didn't charge, but we charged vendors to come, and oh my God, people were all over the place. The vendors made so much money, and most of them we didn't charge just because we didn't know what was going to happen. So the next time, I say we got greedy. My wife's like, no, but we charged, and it was a ghost town. Even though we charged like $3 or $2 a kid, it wasn't nothing. But barely anybody came out. The vendors were super disappointed. So I said if we ever do it again, we're going to do it for free to the public and just charge the vendors. Like the taco truck guy made a killing. They had these chiropractors were coming out. They pitch to your clients and they try to get people to come in. I mean, vendors were fighting for a spot. So I do definitely, if you're going to do anything like that, free is the way to go. And then you let the vendors pay you and make something that way. Or, if you're doing the pumpkins, that's another way. So you could do a little bit of both.
Yeah, definitely. That was my idea. It's just an attraction, just a big, huge banner out there that says, free inflatables and stuff like that, So just advertise that it's free, and then they come there and buy a pumpkin. And if they don't, somebody else will.
Yeah, and they're gonna need food, so the taco truck guy could pay you, and they're gonna need other things. So yeah, that's another way to do it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not used to the hand raising thing, but looks like we have some hands raised. So Justin, you had your hand up, and then Shane as well. Feel free to interrupt,
So my video on? Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, cool. So another thing with the inflatables is there's school lockdowns where in the wintertime, like a lot of times, like they'll actually have a sleepover with like some of the grades in school, and just have a whole bunch of inflatables in there. And it's actually like a fundraiser event. So they'll have like a budget or whatever, and then they'll have like so many spots, and every kid has to actually pay to go and spend the night. And you know what I mean? So they actually will raise money doing so, but they have a budget for all the inflatables and whatnot. So it's actually a fundraising opportunity as well. So
do you charge the school then, or do you?
Oh yeah, you charge the school. They have an opportunity to raise fundraising for whatever they want to do.
Got it. Yeah, we did a couple of those. The lock-ins, they're a big thing. But yeah, I mean, you got to get the school contracts, so it helps to
just going there. You know what I mean? Showing face and talking to them is great. They'll try you. Most schools will actually give you a shot, especially if you can show that you can make money. That's a great way to get into schools as well, if you haven't tried.
Yeah, thanks, man. I mean, the making money part is I mean, we haven't had any experience with that, but how would you, as far as like fundraisers, how would you show them? I mean, they would charge the kids, and then
okay, so how many kids can you physically have in the gym? How big is your gym? Like, what can you actually fit in there? This is what I would charge you. Charge the kids. You know what I mean? You could get 100 kids. You know what I mean? If you could charge them all $50, it's, you know what I mean, it's $5,000, right? Something like that. Is there more? $5,000. Yeah, $5,000. Yeah. So then, you know what I mean? Charge them $2,000. They're making $3,000.
Okay, well, it's a lot simpler than I thought.
Yeah, Tariq, I know Nate used to do something. He used to advertise years ago about a free festival option for the schools. And basically it was, he got a percentage of the wristband sales, I think. And they sold wristbands for 10 or 20 bucks, whatever it was. And they paid him out of the percentage of those sales.
So
that's more summer minded. It's not as much, winter per se, but I mean, similar idea. You'd have to ask Nate the details. I never really tried it.
Gotcha. So basically you're saying don't charge a school, sell wristbands and split the profits.
Now the school sells the wristbands and they pay you 20, 50, 60, whatever percent for the inflatable use. So yeah, I mean, if they sell 20 wristbands at $20, you're getting 50%. You're not making any money. But if they sell 500 on a fall festival at $20 a piece, you're doing well.
Another good one. Shane and Amy, you guys had something?
Yeah, when Jamie was talking earlier, that reminded me that that was something that we were tossing around, the idea of renting a space to do a pay for play. I don't really want to do the FEC route. Just doesn't seem like there's that much potential for it here, at least where we are. So, Tariq, you had mentioned that you had done a couple pay for plays. So you just threw it out in the community and nobody showed up when you charged $3 to enter?
So we have a good warehouse, or sorry, good parking lot where we were where our warehouse is, and fortunately nobody's there on Sundays. So we had to get a permit from the village, and they said we had to ask the landlord and the neighbors, and we invited all the neighbors, and we told them, since they're not gonna have their cars there, they didn't mind. But yeah, the first time it was our grand opening. We just got the warehouse, so we did a grand opening, and we were just gonna do it. And then these chiropractor people, they're a big brand. I forgot what they're called, but they found the event. We put it on what was that website? Eventbrite, or one of those ticket sales. We put free, and we got so many people interested that I guess you can filter like by how many people going. Like, oh, you have a lot of people going. We'd like to come. And one of the sales girls that works for us, she's going to chiropractic school. So she's like, well, they usually pay for that. I was going to let them come for free. She's like, they pay like $400 or $500, So she's like, asking for 1,000. Well, I guess crazy, but I did. We asked for 1,000. They paid $600 just to come and just to have a 10 by 10 space there. I forgot, it was either 400 or 600, something like that. But they came, and then that gave us the idea of talking to some other vendors, and we had food, we had face painting. This mocha guy came, and we did it for free, and it was literally crawling with people everywhere. And we did giveaways. It was our grand opening, so it was the first time having a warehouse, and we did giveaways. We had a DJ. It was a lot of fun. People talked about it literally for years, and every year they're like, "We're gonna do it again." So the following year, we said, "Okay, we're gonna do it." That was fun, and in my head, I'm like, "Okay, we had like 2,000 people there. It's what if so if I charge $2 a person, $3 a person, it's gonna go great." I think we had like 100 people show up, literally, no joke, when we did that. And people were mad. They're like, they were blasting us on Facebook, and they're like, "This was a community event. Why is it paid?" And my kid got a ticket, but he only played on one of the bounces. So I said, you know what? And the worst part is the vendors weren't happy, because the same vendors came back, and it was, right. And then they started talking. So that wasn't good. We ended up not even talking to a few of them, just because. But yeah, we learned that it's easier. I mean, business owners are willing to pay, but people are not. I mean, they'll start shopping, like they'll start doing a match. I could go to Chuck E. Cheese and spend this or that, or I can go to the mall and just walk around for free and let them go on a merry-go-round for $2. So
has anybody else had a successful experience with pay for play?
I've never had a successful one. I've done, when I first started, I had like a bunch of people reach out to me. They're like, "Oh, come," and they make it sound all good. They're like, "We won't charge you to set up the inflatables, you charge whatever." And I was like, oh, like my first year, I was 20 when I started it. So I was like, oh, hell yeah. I was like, I can make, $500, $1,000 on a Friday. This is gonna be perfect. And I did a lot. God, I forgot the cancer walks. I cannot remember the name of it. The
Carmen St. Jude.
I forgot what it is. They do like the walks and they just keep walking.
Relay for life.
So we did that, and I mean, we made like a couple $100, like nothing crazy. And then I started to like think, I was like, oh, like, maybe I can do this. So I started reaching out to people, and we set up like 3 or 4. And I mean, we made like $20 one time. Literally, it was like $20, and we set up 4 inflatables. And I was like, this is absolutely terrible. It was too much work. We spent the entire day, 4 of our inflatables. We only had like 6 or 7 at the time. So we lost all of our rental potential on that one. Then they were like, oh, we'll put your name out there. And like, the longer I'm into it, the more I'm like, everybody like jokes about the exposure bucks. It's not worth it. At least for us, it wasn't. It was not worth it for us. Now if you get to like, like Tony was like these giant fall festivals and stuff, I had one school, it's like a big Christian school around here, and they, gave me the idea. They're like, oh, we won't charge you, you can charge blah, blah, blah. And I was like, how about you just rent my rate and then you charge? If you're so confident that you guys are going to make the amount of money that you think you're going to make, you'll make way more if you just pay what the rental is. And one of them actually ended up doing it, and we've been with them for 4 years now, and it's like a $6,000 event in October. So we kind of like flipped it on them, like, you're so confident in it, then just rent it from us, and then you'll make a lot more money if you just pay the rental price instead of trying to split any profits. That way you make money. Another thing, if you do end up, there are some people that are like, we won't charge you, but you have to split your sales with us. Just make sure you put in there that you're going to split your what you actually like profit. Like, don't include, because you still got to pay your guys, you still have to pay for, if you're there for 12 hours and you have 4 people there, that's, you're going to spend a couple $100 in payroll. So make sure that if you do pay them out, it's after your expenses are all paid out, and then you can split from there. Don't give them the gross splitting.
I think everybody has to experience a pay per play once, so they never do it again.
Yeah. It's kind of,
I mean, they all call us and they say this all, like Alex said, they make it sound, oh, we're not gonna charge you anything. I'm like, wait, what? I'm supposed to charge, make it sound so good. And I think in my head, only a newbie is gonna say, like, they're like, oh, we'll find, there's tons of companies we're gonna call. And I'm just thinking, oh, somebody will say yes, it's only a newbie, and they'll only do it once, and they'll learn just like the rest of us learn, and they'll never do it again.
I just had we have an indoor football arena, just called me the other day. And, she was throwing out these names of, football players, the Panthers owners. She wanted a mechanical bull set up during their halftime show, which was 15 minutes long. So she made it sound like all this fantastic thing. And like in the back of my mind, I'm like, all right, I can get a bull set up in like, I don't even know, I'd have to figure it out. But like me and like my 4 best guys can probably get a bull set up ready in like 10 minutes.
Just have it done on a cart, and just have 4-man just lift it off, pull the cart, just slap an inflatable on it.
She threw that out there. So I gave her a number. I was like, for me to get this done, I'm going to need to get my 4 best guys. Granted, this is on a Saturday. This was a month ago. It was on a Saturday. And I was like, you're going to be at like $4,000 at least. And she was like, oh, well, I was hoping that, we could work out a deal where we can just advertise for you. And I'm like, yeah, no, I was like, maybe if I was new when I first started, but I mean, if you want me to take my 4 best guys out of my routes on a Saturday, you're going to have to pay a significant amount of money for them, because, and anybody who's ever set up a bull knows it's not like a quick inflatable. It's heavy, it's awkward, and it takes a little bit of time. And, I was like, it's not worth it. I would have loved to have done it. I mean, it would have been, cool. I've always wanted to do, I love football. So I was like, oh, hell yeah. Like halftime show during a football arena game. Like, but then I thought realistically, for me to get it done, I'm going to lose way too much money. And the clientele that they have, I just don't see me making back that money anytime soon. Because they always say like, oh, we'll hand out your business cards. 9 times out of 10, they're going to throw those cards out. So to me, it wasn't worth it.
I love when people say exposure doesn't work. It's because you're not exposing yourself. That's my way of looking. Well, so I have this event I'm about to do. It's 12 tents. 10 inflatables. There's 200 bands. I'm pulling out a stage as well. So they're going to let me bring a tent there and do giveaway t-shirts as well. But I also have a t-shirt gun that looks like my logo. So I'm going to start shooting t-shirts throughout the crowd. I'm not going to give away t-shirts for free. I'm going to sell them for $1, because I feel like it's like, if you sell them for $1, it's still super cheap, but you're not going to throw it away because you spent $1 on it. Whereas if they just grab it, they can just use it to wipe their butt for all they care. You know what I mean? But if they spend $1 on it, they'll associate that with money, and it's so cheap that they'll want it. So a bunch of those, I get to shoot that. Like I shoot streamers, confetti, all that stuff. But like out of my look, but I also told them like, yo, I got a whole bunch of trash cans, and I'm actually surrounding trash cans with my logo and my branding. I could he's renting one of my trailers, which is a carnival trailer. I don't know if you guys know what a side joint is. But basically, it's a side-facing trailer that opens up sideways.
Okay.
So he's using that as a DJ stand as well. There's gonna be 200 bands, 60 stages. He's doing food truck vendors as well. So I literally told him like, look, I can literally put trash cans everywhere with my logo on it everywhere. Like I convinced him to let me do that. You know what I mean? So that's how you get yourself out there. Like you don't just, oh, we'll put some business cards at this 110 at the front entrance. Like, no, I'm gonna walk around with t-shirt guns that looks like my logo, shooting t-shirts with my logo on it, out of my logo, dressed like a character on my logo. So
My concern also with these events, a lot of them, is, if they do a good enough job, like a football stadium, people are going to come from all over.
Yep.
Unfortunately, that's going to be out of my area. Like, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but with COVID, I've trimmed down my service. I don't want to deliver even to the city of Chicago anymore. I mean, that's way out of my area. I'd rather stay local. And there's such a high demand locally. That's my concern. My phone's going to be blowing up from places I don't even deliver to, if it works. I mean, that's if best case scenario. It's still not a good situation. That's just something that post COVID we start to think about.
if it rains, you're screwed. It's carnival knowledge. The ringmaster in the sky.
Yep.
Range, but I can still use the t-shirts throughout the years. They won't go bad.
Tariq, one thing we did when we first got into inflatables, I was approached by a fundraising group that did all the major fundraisers for the schools, from the cookie dough sales to everything else. And those guys work individually or independently in every area or region or such. And they have their mega parties that they throw at the schools for the kids that sold and everything. And on the mega party, it's all in the fall and winter time. So you're setting up in the gyms, you're delivering December, sometimes it's January, February, not when school's out, but in those slower months. They don't pay quite as well, and it's not really exposure bucks per se, but your information goes home with all of their flyers and such to these kids. And so it gets your name out there. So if you're smaller and just trying to get going, get your foot in the door at the schools and such, that's a great way to introduce yourself. And, you may have to bite it on the butt a little bit as far as cost to get in the door with the fundraising guy, but you have to look at the long-term benefit of it overall too. And if you're not doing anything on Tuesday afternoon, I'm sorry, $600 beats a swift kick in the butt.
Was it Goldbusters? Was that the name of the fundraising group?
No, ours was a local group that was GSG fundraising.
Okay. We have the same concept. It's just called Goldbusters, and they do like their walks and their fundraising events. And then at the end of the year, whoever makes the most money, like they get group sessions and set up a bunch of inflatables and stuff like that.
Yeah, this was nice because it's all in the gyms and it was all in the winter time, which being in Texas, I didn't have to fight the snow as badly unless I headed north. But it was really it really helped us get our foot in the door with a lot of schools and such, and really get our equipment out there. We were new, so everything was really nice and perfect. And we broke through a lot of those channels of I've used this vendor forever, and it wasn't because we were less expensive, because we had nicer equipment and they saw what we brought. But at our level now, I donate to local things. We had a police officer killed a few days ago, and you've had a few other things go on, and I donate to people like that. But any more of that donation calls, it just falls on deaf ears. I hate to say it. I mean, I do Salvation Army. I donate 100% annually to them, from 40 by 90 tents to their inflatables and such. But I really, I learned a long time ago, people let you work for free as long as you want to.
Yep.
Very well said.
So
But everybody, I hate to, I've got to get out of here. I enjoyed it, and I hope that I shared a little bit of my amazing wealth of information. If you have questions, don't hesitate to email me. It's TonyC@misospoiled.com. And I'll be happy to reply with any information I can provide to help anybody in that regard. I'm not bashful. You may not like it. You got to think outside the box, but some of it's for you, some of it's not. And even if you don't do the schools, like Shane was talking about, that their schools may not big enough. If your small town has a fall bazaar or a big Christmas sale, like a Black Friday sale or something, that's worth going to.
Do you do like the book sales as well?
I do not provide the book sales. No, that's usually through Scholastic Book Fair, which is a national organization. They got a few others. What we're doing is somewhat similar. I'm guessing.
Oh, I've seen the winter festivals and the stuff like that. The little toys. I've been to a couple as a kid.
Yeah, and like I say, we do it for the school, a specific school on us. Yeah, now we do it for a week long and the school runs the sales themselves. But like I say, we have a thing down here called Old Mill Trade Days. It's just a flea market out in a small town that's super popular. And we've sold down there before and done very well. But when Tariq says you got to buy in bulk, everybody knows what the fidget spinners are. When those things died off, these vendors were just stuck with them. And I had a guy call me and said he'd sell me fidget spinners for 10 cents a piece. Problem was I had to buy 38,000 of them. And so I still have fidget spinners. The kids still buy them because the parents aren't there, but I'm selling them for $1 and $2 depending on design. And so it's something that it's not big money by one item, but when you combine it in an entire sale and you can just sell the crap out of this stuff, it's pretty nice. You just have to be able to warehouse it.
Yeah, big one. Before you go, Tony, quick question. Have you what are they called? The meetings that they have in each town, oh man, I can't think of the name. Where you join the town, like where all the corporate
Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce.
There you go. Have you had any success with that? I mean, that's gotten us into a couple schools, couple corporate events. It was tedious going to those meetings, but when they allowed us to talk in front of everybody, there was no other bounce house companies there. So
I'll be very honest, Tariq. I lost a ton of business over the years because we were not chamber members. Because if you're not a chamber member, they cannot use you unless you're the only one that can provide that product. It's part of their arrangement. They're a very cliquish group. But I kid you not, I joined the chamber and I probably had 30 calls within a month thanking us for finally joining the chamber because they wanted to use us, not those goofballs across town or whatever. And so for us, it was beneficial. Everybody's environment is so much different. I don't go to the meetings. I've never been to a chamber meeting. I pay my $300 a year and I get business from it. It's not huge, but it does. I do, like this week, we're doing the Cattle Barons Ball for the American Cancer Society. Had we not been chamber members, we never would have gotten it. It's a $17,000 event for us. There's things that you look at. You have to look at an expense not as an expense, but what is your investment value on it? And that one for us is paid off for sure. It's not for everybody, and some people do not offer enough variety of product to capitalize on it, so to speak. For us, I'm not doing a single inflatable out there. I'm doing tables and chairs and linens and the evaporative coolers, the portable big cooler systems, and we're doing bus tubs and bars and servingware and such like that. And so it's a huge event. It's a lot of inventory. I've got 5 trucks taking it out, but it's a weekend event. We pick it all up on Sunday, bring it back, and we still have time to run our other 3 or 4 crews and run the weekend except for Sunday. And so chamber wise, I think it's valuable for some, but for others, it's not going to make sense. Like, for Shane and Amy, if they get 9 inflatables, it may not make sense just because the chamber may not be looking for that or their members may not be. Another way you can, some of the smaller ones, the way you can get your name out there is there's a lot of groups in town that do, they do bartering. Hey, if you give me an inflatable, I'll give you $150 off your next set of tires or whatever. And instead of exchanging cash, everybody's getting free stuff or discounted because you're trading your merchandise for stuff you may need. I spend probably $8,000, $9,000 a year on tires. And so it pays off at times when you can trade out with your tire company. Because really that 4 hours of labor I'm going to eat setting up their inflatable vent is not as costly as a set of tires. So just my food for thought. If I put my email in the messages, if anybody wants to shoot out to me, feel free. Please don't spam me. I don't need any more businesses. I thought about, buying out Event Hawk, but it's not for sale yet. But, but I appreciate you doing this, Tariq. Everybody's good to meet you and see you. And I wish everybody a great rest of the season and a happy wintertime.
Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, guys.
appreciate you.
Appreciate you, Tony. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Audra. Actually, we got, I don't know who this Barf Face is. I don't know if that's a thing. I didn't even know you could do that, but we got, I don't know, Barf Face wants to tell us about what their plans are for the off season, or if they're sick, that's all good. Otherwise, we'll skip over to Maurice. What's up, Maurice?
What's going on? What's going on, Tariq?
Not much. So what are the plans for the off season? I know this is your first year.
My first year, so I think I'm going to relax. No, I'm actually planning. Excuse my background. I have 3 kids, so and their cousins over. I'm planning to possibly get me a driver and a helper. So I'm trying to get all my policies and stuff in place. I'm also trying to, I realize, and this is just maybe, like I said, I'm only a year in, right? So I'm naive to a lot of stuff. But I realize having a water slide brings big money. Because typically, I'm located in Maryland, so I'm in Waldorf, Maryland, right outside of Washington, D.C., 30 minutes from D.C. And so I live kind of in the suburbs area, kind of like farmish area. And when people order a water slide, they normally order tents, tables, chairs. So it's like a package deal almost. And right now, my average sale or average transaction is like $600. And so I'm trying to invest in some more water slides, as you know, Tariq, because I actually up my Googles for the water slide ads, so that next year I really think that I'm going to be able to have a part-time driver and a part-time helper. That's my plan. So whatever advice you guys have, as far as policies, as far as pay, assurance, everything, my ears are open.
So I know a lot of people talk about like paying their guys. Some people pay per unit. I pay per hour. I think of it, I take care of my guys better than I probably better than I don't know if I should or whatever it is, but I make sure, if they have a 3-hour break, I'll just let them chill. Like I know it's hard work. I mean, it's 100 degrees here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I make sure that they're taken care of. I buy them lunch. I make sure there's water in the fridge. You just have to make sure you take care of them, because you can have 50 inflatables, but no workers, and you're gonna have to do it all yourself. So, I always make sure, I still make money. I make sure that they're taken care of. We go out, there's a Brazilian steakhouse. I take them out, 2-3 times a year there, just to make sure that they know, I really do appreciate them. And if you show them that you appreciate them, I mean, I have the same guys. I have 4 guys that have been with me for 5 years now. They make, between 12 and 20 bucks an hour, and it's, 12-hour days, but realistically you're only working like 4 or 5 hours out of that day. And, my big thing is just make sure you take care of them. You see people all the time complain about, their guys, falling asleep in the truck. To me, if you're on an hour drive, what else are you going to do? Like, I'm not going to micromanage them. As long as my inflatables get set up properly and on time, what they want to do when they're driving, as long as, obviously the driver can't be on his phone, but the helpers, if they want to sit on their phone, then so be it. I'm not going to micromanage them, and what else are they going to do? So I'm a big firm believer in, make sure you take care of them, because without them, like I said, you can have 50 inflatables, but if you're working alone, you can only put out so much by yourself.
Correct. How do you to piggyback off that? How do you, I guess what's I'm looking for? How do you calculate per unit what you should be charging, or you just don't necessarily calculate, you just charge a flat rate for like water slide, something like that? So here I charge like $150. So really the water slide is, I'm sorry, $350. Really the water slide is $330, and I charge a $20 delivery fee, except my city, which is Waldorf. But everybody else, no matter where you at, it's a $20 delivery fee. And I don't, right now, I typically don't go no more than 30 miles. If I do, then of course I up that delivery fee. So, but how do you calculate that to coincide with the hourly rate that you have to pay?
I mean, so my delivery fee helps pay my employees. I mean, I have a $15 base delivery fee plus $2 per mile. So I'm in a business park and my next door neighbor, literally the next shop over, rented tables and chairs and they had a $15.50 delivery fee. I walked the tables and chairs to their warehouse, but I used that delivery fee to help pay my guys. That was one thing I learned. I mean, I'm old school. I was back when the Moonwalk Forum was around. And there's a couple of guys like, Tony, I read Tony who's been, he's helped me without knowing that he's helped me. Another guy, Nate over at AZ Bounceboro, he says a lot and he's a much bigger guy. And he said, I used to do free delivery. I used to do free delivery in my city. And he said, he's like, why would you do free delivery when, pizza places they charge for delivery and you're okay with it. So you're losing money. And I ran the calculation and later on, and I realized if I was to keep up doing the free delivery, I would have spent almost $10,000. I made about $10,000 in delivery within my, quote unquote free area would have been. So my delivery fee definitely helps actually, pay my guys. I charge a little bit more than, the most people do. And they always ask, they're like, you're, X amount higher than the rest. And I tell them, we have insurance, we have payroll expenses, we have taxes to pay. We're not a illegal company. We have a lot of expenses and, 9 times out of 10, they'll understand. To me, it just depends on, your clientele. If you're advertising on, Facebook Marketplace, I'm not bashing it, but, I used to advertise on Craigslist. I was getting the cheaper clientele. Then I, kind of stopped doing that. I got my Google AdWords up. I hired an SEO guy and I'm like number 2 on Google right now, 1 in a bunch of cities. That was the market and the clientele I was going after, because you can charge a lot of money. And a lot of times people, if you're number 1 or 2 on Google, they're not shopping around. They just want to book it and they just want to get it over with. So, if you go to the next page on Google, you could probably save half the amount of money. But since you're number 1 and you're convenient for them, they're going to just pay the, whatever charge whatever you're going to be.
Yeah, makes sense.
Jana, how's it going? You got your hand up. I'm loving this hand thing.
I was just gonna say, back to your chamber question. I think the chamber has changed a lot, like over the years. We've been in business a little bit over 10 years, and we've been chamber members on and off. But like Tony said earlier, it's a super cliquey group, and I feel like it's evolving over time. So we just joined the chamber a couple of months ago for like the 5th time. And we hadn't been members in, gosh, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years. And we actually got a $5,000 event from them. And they said that lucky we joined because, some of the other people were friends with someone else, but they weren't chamber members. So for that small fee, that paid off for us. But I think what I was surprised is that all of my dealings were with younger people. Like years ago, I felt like all the members were just a lot older and there were never kids at the event, really just talk of like anything kid related. And I've seen that change, over the years. So depending on what area you're in, joining the chamber may be something to rethink.
Yeah, I mean, for us, the one that's in the city that I live in, the president was a high school principal. So she was always promoting the chamber, and when she found out, she didn't even know, when she introduced us to talk for the first time, she was like, well, now I got to rent from you guys. And she rented a few events from us. And, just to prove a point that the chamber is a good place to be, we got a few events. And they push a bunch of other marketing stuff on you that I don't believe works. But like Jana said, just you being part of the chamber helps. And also, I feel like actually when we went to the chamber, we found out that there was another inflatable company that was a big tech company. They do tents and inflatables. And they have a representative that has to go. Like, they pay this guy, he's an older guy, to go to every single meeting. Like, that's how important it is to them. And they're huge. They're like, they do all the festivals and all this stuff. And I didn't even know the guy. And then somebody pointed out, I was like, oh, you're doing this. That's your competitor right there. He was the president for the last, I don't know how many years. And I'm like, oh man. But when I talked to the guy, super good, easygoing guy. And he's like, they're just like, we're like an ant compared to them, So he wasn't even phased. But I think it helps you even at a professional level to kind of promote your business in a more professional way, talking to more business-minded people. And you learn that some things just don't work. I think you learn more what doesn't work than what does work, because they had, you go around, you talk to different people and you pitch them what you do, and you get shut down a lot where people are like, oh yeah, that's nice, and they just walk away. And you learn a lot of what doesn't work, so that you kind of fix your pitch each time until you're able to kind of make it seem like you're you need to come to me. I'm the I'm what you want to chase, not the other way around. So I think it's definitely a good way to go. Just try one, and yeah, it's an expense, but I think the benefit is most of your competitors, I don't know how to put this nicely, are too small-minded to think about the chamber. I hope that doesn't offend anybody, but you're probably going to be the only inflatable or tech company there, because all your competitors are too busy, like Alex said, on Facebook Marketplace, and they're not going to think to go to the chamber. So if you're willing to put the money and go to the meetings, you're going to be there, and you're going to take notice, because it's a fun thing that you're offering. So I think it's worth checking out. Just you never know what you get.
Hey, Tariq, maybe I think I missed this part, and I hope I'm naive. What is the chamber?
Okay, who wants to take this one?
Sorry, guys.
So a chamber of commerce, I don't know, I guess maybe I might explain.
Oh, the chamber of commerce. Okay.
It's basically like a group of businesses that how would you say it is, Jana?
The chamber is a committee of people that, I guess, specialize in advocate for the town or the county that you live in. It's comprised of like a ton of different, basically business owners, that become representatives for your community. Ours is, it's like the same people. There's like a board, and then there's members, and then there's like subgroups. So there's like ours has like a 60 and over group. Ours has a young professional group, and it's just, again, everybody that is a member owns some type of business, except for the board members. That's like their job. But there's lawyers and plumbers and painters. Just literally everything you can think of. And it's a big social networking group, basically. They do like galas, at least here they do, and all kinds of like meet and greets and ribbon cuttings for new businesses that are chamber members. In our area, it's very cliquey. People really enjoy it, though. Our community, and like our commissioners and we have like a mayor, even though we live in a small town. It's really stupid, but all of those people are really involved with the chamber as well.
Carter Ingram on Facebook said it's the best way to describe it is it's the Justice League of businesses. So there you go. Worth checking out. I think every town has one, so good idea to kind of get out there. For us, we have a lot of different towns, so we joined like 3 of them, and it got to be a lot going all the meetings. But off season is a great time to start building those relationships. Audra Houston, you want to tell us a little bit about what your plans are for the off season?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, if I had some, I'd let you know. Um, right now, we're very blessed. We're in our third year, and my husband and I still have full and part-time jobs that'll last us through the off season. But due to Event Hawk, thank you, Tariq, and a couple other things, we've been killing it this year to the point where he could actually go full time. So we're trying to prep this winter for him to go full time next summer and drop his full time job. So we're just trying to gain some knowledge and information of what to do for the following off season. We're in Delaware, so snow plowing, possibly it can or could not snow here. It depends. Again, we're just trying to get some ideas for next off season, which generally for us is November through February.
Okay. Well, good luck and congrats. That's huge.
It is huge. It's huge. Thank you for all your help.
You're welcome. And I guess we're gonna call on Jana as well. Do you do anything different from Bill or anything we talked about for the off season? Any ideas? What are your biggest money makers, Jana, in the off season? Jana gets pretty creative.
I have no advice. Kind of like Bill, we pretty much do the same thing. We save, during season to be able to help offset some of our expenses. This winter was insane. With the help of Event Hawk, like Bill, we were doing numbers that we normally do in March, in January and February. I think both of those months we were up over 100%. So, aside from that, we haven't really looked into other revenue streams. In regards to what Tony said, in my free time prior to COVID, I was also a PTO mom or PTO president. There we go. And we called it the holiday shop. So his snowman village that he's talking about is an incredible idea. There's a lot of money to be made. You would be surprised at how receptive schools are, especially when you can offer them your services for other times of the year as well, with your inflatables. But if anybody is thinking about that, there's a lot of opportunity with that. And I guarantee you schools would much rather do business with someone locally in their community instead of a corporate owned franchise company that brings holiday shops to you.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting one. And my kids spend crazy money on nothing. They come home, I give them $20 and I'm like, don't just spend $5. And they come home with like these little knickknacks, like somebody's making a killing. So that'd be interesting to see how, it's really great of Tony really to help. I'd be curious to see if anybody kind of follows through with that. That'd be a pretty good one. Somebody asked as well, how do you, I think it was, let's see here, Jamie, about getting into the schools and corporate events and finding contact for the food trucks and stuff. For the food trucks, for us, for the events, we just Googled, whoever we could or anybody popular, and some of them were open, some of them were not. But as far as the schools, we talked about the chamber meetings. I don't know if anybody else has any advice on how to get into schools and churches and corporate events for fall festivals.
So for me, I think it was like my second or third year is when, when I first started, I was like, I'm going to do backyard parties. I told myself I want, 10 inflatables. I'm cool with it. Then I started, learning from a lot of the more experienced people saying that events are where you make all the money. So that's when I was like, all right, I need to expand, get more stuff, got more obstacle courses, more interactives and stuff like that. And then I made up an email. This was, oh my God, like probably 6-7 years ago. I made an email and I sent it to, I cannot remember the name of the website, but you actually pay for it and they give you every single business in the area and you can kind of filter it. So I paid for all the schools, all the churches, in my area within 50 miles. And I email blasted everybody. I was like, what's the worst thing that happens is it goes in their spam folder and I don't hear from them. And I landed probably 7 or 8 schools that do about between like 7 to 10,000 a year with us, between their fall festivals, their spring festivals, graduations, field days, stuff like that. So I just reached out to every, and if I knew of the school, it wasn't on the list, I would just reach out to the secretary. I would call the secretary, I would call the school, ask the, whoever was in charge of event planning, get their information, and I would just send them an email. I started sending them out. It was the beginning of September for the fall festivals. Like I said, this was all new to me. I didn't know how early they, did fall festivals. And a lot of them were like, we already found our school. We'll try you next year. We'll reach out to you next year. And a lot of them actually did follow up, and they've been with companies for 10, 15 years of the same company, and they just want change. They want something new. They want something different that they don't offer. And we were able to give them that more one-on-one connection when we first started. So, I'm sure I'm going to lose some of them to people who were like me, who are going to reach out to them. But, it's kind of cool to know that, there's a lot of money out there. It's just finding it, and, don't be afraid to get shut down. You can't, I know everybody knows me. I say things that people don't like, and, you can't get your feelings hurt. You have to just roll with the punches. If you're going to want to start a business and, own a business, you're going to be faced with some really hard challenges, and you're going to be called some things that you never thought you'd be called before. And you're going to get screamed at by, I'm sorry, Janet, PTA moms some of them are mean. I've been screamed at and cursed at by so many people. But I just, you don't let it, I don't let it get to me. It is what it is. It's another day. You're still human. Everybody makes mistakes, and, you just can't be afraid to get shut down. That's probably my biggest thing to say, is don't take everything so serious. And, like I said, I know a lot of people don't like me in the groups. But, there are a lot of people. I have like 10, 15 people that text me and message me on a daily basis, asking me for advice and this and that. And, I love helping people. I really do. That's why I'm here. Like, I love helping people who have questions, and, I don't know. So, and another thing that I learned, somebody told me never get comfortable. And I never thought about that until it actually all clicked to me, because I was, I went from my garage, which was all free, to, do I want to spend $1,000 a month on rent? And Jay Argo down in Georgia was like, get out of your comfort zone, because if you get uncomfortable, you're going to work harder to reach that goal. So I did that, and next thing I know, I'm at 65 something inflatables, mechanical rides, stuff like that. So definitely never get comfortable, and don't be afraid to reach out to people.
Good advice.
I will say something that helped us for some of the newer guys, as far as getting in schools. And because I've been I have like a 21-year-old, I'm old, guys. I've been around schools for as long as I've been in business, and even before then. Something that we did, which has pretty much locked us in with about 8 elementary schools in our area, is we donate a free bounce house certificate every year to each one of those schools for Teacher Appreciation Week. So instead of it going through like the PTO or the PTA or the Booster Club, which changes like almost every single year, we donate that directly to the schools. So the admin, the principal, the assistant principal, the secretary, all those people know us. Like, they know that every year they can count on us for that same donation for whatever they do for their teachers. And usually they raffle it off, or, something like, I don't care what they do with it, but it helped build relationships. So since we started our business, we've literally done those same schools year after year after year. And sometimes we'll send them out to other schools, and sometimes we'll hear back and they'll do like one thing with us, or, whatever, but it's a good foot in the door. I know a lot of people don't like to do free, but it worked for us. And it's the thing that keeps giving.
Is that
Like
a
Alex
free
said,
castle, Jana? Just like
It's-
something small, or?
just a standard bounce house.
Mhm.
Like I think ours are like 165. So I may be crazy for doing free, but at least I'm frugal about it. I'm not giving them a water slide, nothing crazy. It's lit. They can put they can take a credit towards something bigger, which like 85% of the time that's what happens. But it's literally a gift certificate for a free standard, bouncer rental for 6 hours. We did that when we first started with daycares as well, in exchange for them sending out business. We use like 4x6 double-sided postcards. We don't use business cards. So we basically went to the daycares and said, hey, if you guys pass these out, we'll give you a free bounce house rental, once a year. And I mean, for 10 years, we still do the same summer camps, and we still do the same daycares, and we stopped giving them free things like many, many, many years ago. So it's just little things that, you can do in good faith to try to build a relationship and then just grow that relationship. We still do the schools for Teacher Appreciation Week because we appreciate the teachers, so that's just something that we've always done and probably will always do. But again, it is a good way to kind of get your foot in the door and get to know, people. I definitely recommend going like the administration way instead of the PTO or the PTA, because those women are not always friendly. They're not always receptive. But as long as, the administration knows that you're their person, you'll stay their person.
That's very different. Now, do you, in order for you to do the donation for the teacher appreciation, does that school have to agree to send postcards with all their students?
No, they don't. We are business partners with multiple schools. I mean, we've won Business Partner of the Year in our district, which is huge, which was like totally awesome. But we don't really put any stipulations on it. I mean, some schools ask, some schools don't, and that's okay. I mean, I really don't care. We're on, our district has a electronic, like, I don't even know what to call it, email that it sends out to all the parents in the district. It's called like Peach Jar or something. And it's basically like advertisements for businesses, summer camps, karate, like all these kind of kid things. We've been featured in those before. I mean, they put us in there and even ask us. And again, I don't really care. I just want to build that relationship. I mean, if I get other business from it, that's great. But I'm probably a little bit more laid back. We have schools that put our name on the marquee or the flashing billboard or whatever, just because we have such a great, relationship with them.
Thank you. That's definitely, I like that. That's, it kind of makes them, like you said, like they feel like, when they think about inflatable company, like, oh yeah, that there was a company that donated. So that's, I think it gets them probably excited, weeks before the giveaway as well, because it's talked about. So good, great idea.
I like that.
Let's see here. We got Dana. You want to tell us about your off-season plans?
Hey, sorry, it's taking me a while to be unmuted to unmute myself to get back. I'm not really sure. I'm getting obviously ideas from here. This is like my first real year, so I'm not really sure what to expect from the off season yet. I'm not really sure how it will even be in my area. I know I'm trying to focus on tenting, and I'm learning more about that. And so I'm hoping, that I can still be able to do something with tenting and tables and chairs, because that's mostly what I have anyway. I don't have inflatables. So most of the things that I have can either be used indoors or tents to help, keep some of the elements out. I'm hoping to focus on that. I may look into getting some kind of like throne chairs or something because I know that's pretty popular for things. So I'm also looking at that right now. But that's pretty much it right now. I know sometimes things can feel a little overwhelming. So at first was trying to do so much and get so much. And now I'm like, okay, I need to pull it back some and kind of take my time to make sure I'm, growing with skill as fast as I'm growing with anything else, because I don't want to overdo it and like slip in my customer service and then it all be for nothing because it all goes downhill. So that's what I'm trying to focus on now.
100%. Where are you located, Dana?
In Richmond, Virginia.
I'm actually surprised you were the first person to mention getting into the tents. That was the first thing we got into. We saw the money in that. We're like, oh, let's jump into tents. Big regret. Full disclosure. Decided it was the worst.
Seriously? Oh God.
I'll never forget our very first tent setup. We landed this big job, like 20 by like 80 for a bar, ton of money. I mean, we went from $300 jobs to $3,000 jobs, and it took us about, I want to say, at least like 15 hours to set that thing up between 2 days, and the wind and the cold. And I mean, I pretty much had to be at every tent job for about 2 years before I could trust my staff. It's just a lot higher liability. Again, not to say I'm just not. I always tell people I'm not a handy person at all. I'm more tech.
Mm-hmm.
If we need a light bulb change, I'm calling my brother-in-law. So, shame. I have no shame. I'll tell my wife, like, listen, I know I make more money than your brother doing tech stuff, so go. You can come do whatever with the car or whatever. But yeah, honestly, it's the tents to us. It's a lot more money, but we sold most of our tents because it's just not something that we found that you really. There's just a lot more liability. And you do weddings and things like that, you don't get a second chance, if you screw that up.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why I thought I was gonna get like a much bigger tent, but I was like, no, I'm definitely not ready for that. So I'm not gonna get anything like 30 wide and up right now. So I'm gonna go to the tent school at the end of the year. Okay. And I'm hoping to gauge how I do, like how I feel about it from then on, to see if I actually want to get into bigger events. But I don't want to take it on how I originally was like, okay, I'm just gonna get it and we're gonna just go and figure it out. And I was like, no, actually I'm a little scared, so I'm gonna back up. I'm gonna get a smaller tent and I will figure out, I will do the tent school at the end of the year and see how I feel after that.
Hey Dana, sorry if I said your name wrong, but I'm in Waldo. I think you're pretty close to me. What we did was we got which we consider backyard tents. So like a 20 by 20 and a 20 by 30. I don't really go no higher than 20 by 30 because those are and they're just pole tents.
Yeah, that's what I have, a 20 by 20 pole tent now.
Yeah.
That's right now my biggest one.
Yeah, they're pretty easy to do. And we just do them on grass. So we just do them for
backyard.
I don't do them for like big events, stuff like that. If you want to do it, we are doing a wedding this weekend, but it's a backyard wedding. So
mm-hmm.
And
yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I'm focused on now. Like, yeah, more of that like backyard stuff, because again, I was thinking, I saw the money in tents and I was like, oh, like I really want to do this. But then I also thought about, all the risk and messing up someone's like big wedding that they're spending like thousands of dollars on, like hundreds of thousands probably, or, tens of thousands. I don't really want to get into that. I'm definitely not ready for that. So.
Yeah. Once we got to the 20 by 30, I was like, yeah, this is about it. I don't want to get no bigger car tents. Tents are a big headache, but I do know, like Kurt said, that it does add value to your total far as the booking.
Yeah.
That's $300-400 right there just for a tent itself.
Thank you. So Carter Ingram on the Facebook was asking about tables and chairs. Anybody do well with tables and chairs in the off season? I know our Christmas and Thanksgiving are crazy busy. Well, other than that, it's like we get like little orders, 10 chairs, 2 tables, stuff like that, that isn't worth us going to the warehouse for. I don't know if anybody has different experience. All right, we'll go to Joshua Garcia. What's up, Joshua?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
So my name is Josh. I'm from the Atlanta area, and in August it'll be my first full year. And in the off season, I personally am looking kind of forward to it because I just graduated from high school, and now I'm going to college. So I'm just looking forward to that time where I'll have a break because I've been working nonstop and working to get everything done.
Smart man. Yeah, definitely. You know, it's a good time to learn and possibly take a break or just take a breather before the next season rolls around quick. Well, thanks for joining and welcome, man. Congrats. Jamie, how's it going? Jamie, where you calling from and what are you doing this off season?
Jamie Zadoni, is that?
That's you.
Okay, all right, I'll go ahead and talk. There's another Jamie here, but I'll go ahead and talk just because my name's also Jamie. But hey guys, how's it going? Jamie Zadoni, me and my fiance, we started Easy Bounce. We just pulled the trigger in June. We got our LLC in April, but we didn't pull the trigger on anything until all of our insurance and everything went through. Just, you know, play it safe. Leaning heavily on guys like Alex Hoff, Christopher, Vanessa, Michael, all, you know, you, Tariq, all your guys' advice has been pretty solid for us, you know, as far as sticking to our guns and knowing our worth and our value. So I'm very appreciative for that. Alex, I don't hate you personally. I think you're awesome, but I can't speak for everyone. But as far as what we plan on doing with the off season, really right now, we're just like soaking up on the knowledge. We did have a couple of questions though. So I know the Chamber of Commerce thing was kicked around a few times. So I guess my first question would be, what would your inventory, like the diversity in your inventory, what would you need in your inventory to even be kind of like competitive for a position in the chamber, to be like value added to the, you know, the members of the chamber? And in addition to that, I guess our only other question, I know Alex mentioned sending out a blast email, and honestly, I'm gonna definitely jock that idea. By the way, we're in Winchester, Virginia, so we're actually really close to Waldorf, Maryland. I think Jana or somebody else mentioned they were in Virginia as well, but we're going to do probably the same thing Alex recommended. But I guess the only other bit of advice we'd ask for is, like, do you just show up in person? Like, who would you contact from the schools or the churches or corporations to, you know, get into those event venues? So yeah, sorry for the two completely different questions, but yeah, I've been like super excited to ask those for the past like couple hours. So
Thanks for being patient, man. So Jamie was asking inventory. What kind of inventory would you recommend having before joining the chamber? And then the other question was about who do you talk to at the school, or do you just show up? So what, Jana, Alex, what do you guys think about that, or what would be your recommendation?
Hey, can I jump in on this one a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah, how y'all doing? I know I talked with you guys once before, but just got lucky and caught another session during session, so thought I'd jump in. The Chamber of Commerce question, I was asking the same thing, and I'm actually just researching that the last couple of weeks on joining. And I think the answer to your question there, Jamie, would be it depends on your area and how big your area is and how big they are in the network and what they want. So I had a long conversation with mine, and they were just pretty much begging me to join because they don't have a bounce house company in their chamber. And I talked to a couple of you guys before. I just started this year. I only have 5 bouncers, 2 water slides, 2 combos, or 2 water slides and 3 combos. But this year is going well for me, so I'm pondering on joining the chamber. I just wonder what else I'm gonna need to buy, which I plan on buying some during the off season, kind of feeling everything out, see how that works out. But hopefully that answers your question a little bit there, Jamie.
No, and I figured it'd be, kind of like location based on what the requirements might be. So I guess the best way is to contact the chamber and just kind of poke around and figure out what exactly they're looking for. I mean, it doesn't hurt in asking. So no, that definitely helps that.
Well, like Jana said, they're just people, just like you and me, that own businesses. So they have kids that they're going to need a regular bounce house water slide for on the personal side. But then for their businesses, they may want to do a grand opening or something like that, where they're going to maybe want something that you don't have, or maybe you do have. But I wouldn't, I feel like I've personally gotten much farther because a lot of people were too scared to spend money on things like the chamber. It's $300 a year. That's like one rental. Just do it, and what's the worst that's going to happen? I feel like the off season, regardless of what you have, is a good time to jump into things like that, because you have time to go to the meeting and start building those relationships where when the busy season comes, they'll be calling you like, oh, we haven't seen you in the last couple of meetings. Like, dude, I'm not coming in, So I think you learn a lot. And, again, it's a blessing in this industry that most people are too scared to invest in. They'll invest in water slides and certain things, but they don't see the value in certain things like the chamber and other things. So the people who do take a shot at those will typically be years ahead. So I would say just do it, and just have conversations with those people. And then to your other question, you said about, who to talk to at the school, or, do you just show up? So Alex said he does email. I've always had the fear of the, spam folder. But like Alex said, if it goes to their spam, it goes to their spam. So we actually did only mailers, and that's how we built up our school base. We got quite a few schools with mailers, and we just mailed them out, and we addressed them to either the PTO or the director of events. And we put in one line that helped us a lot, because schools will always call your churches and they'll say, hey, do you guys want to donate anything, like we talked about earlier? We can help you with your donations. Like they're doing you a favor. So what we did was we put that in there. We said, oh, well, because what we used to say is, it was really hard for a long time. Like, what do you say when people ask for donations without sounding like a jerk, right? If it's a church or a school. So we said, you know what, unfortunately, our donation budget has been depleted for this year, but here's what we can do for you. You can maybe throw in a game or something like that. So we took that idea and we said, okay, donation budget. So we sent out a mailer and we said, we still have some funds left in our donation budget for 2021. And basically we need somewhere to go with all this money. We're looking for somebody to donate. So that's kind of how we put it. And we had the schools calling us instead of us calling them. And once they called, they said, oh, we heard you want to donate. Well, we didn't say what we're going to donate. So now the ball's in our court. We can donate 20%, depending, when it is, or we could donate a free carnival game. And if they say, well, we thought it was going to be a bigger donation, we just tell them again, this is what we have left. And we let them know that they called in late and next year you can call in. Most of the time they'll book, because, and another thing that we did was we'll tell them we'll donate like 3 stations. And if you guys rent an obstacle course, we'll donate 3 stations for you guys. So you guys will have a total of 4 stations. So one station could be the giant Jenga. Another one is a Connect 4. So instead of all the kids being on the obstacle course, we basically sell it as, instead of we're donating a $20 rental to them, it's not $20. It's a whole nother station that they don't have to have the kids, wrestling over and risking safety and all that. So that's kind of how we pitched it. But for me, I just need to get them on the phone. And it was really hard for me to get somebody on the phone, because when we called the school, nobody would ever return our calls. Emails, we were worried would go to spam. So once somebody called me that was a decision maker, I could sell them because now I have them on the phone. And before I discuss anything else, I get email, phone number, and name so that I have it in my record so that, we can follow up, etc. And that's what's worked for us. If email works, it's way easier than having to print out a bunch of stickers and get them on letters. So maybe try that first. But the mailers definitely did it for us without trying an email.
Hey, Tariq, where did you manually search for all those addresses, or did you go through a service to do those mailers?
I remember looking for a service and not finding, or I did the post office has something, but I didn't see that they could filter for schools. So I would definitely be interested in what Alex was talking about. If you could filter by schools and businesses and churches, that'd be pretty amazing. I didn't find anything like that, but we actually paid a guy on Fiverr, and we told him, I need, this, all the schools in this area. And he just went on Google Maps and said, okay, here's a school. He just put them in a spreadsheet for us. And then we printed all the labels. And, Fiverr, you can find people to do stuff for really cheap.
That's like $5 right there. That's perfect.
It's not $5, it ends up being a lot more, but, just because I did a lot of it myself as well. And it was really, really tedious. But I'm sure if you look hard enough, there's services where they can print the stickers for you, mail them out and put them and do all that for you. But at the time, I wanted to save them. Now, if I were to do that again, I would definitely look for more.
So I actually, I used to be a real estate investor, and one of the things we did for mailers is there's a crap ton of postcard service people that you can buy like in bulk of like 5,000 and send it to, but you'd have to have some type of lead generation software, so you'd still have to find the addresses, but there's tons of services that'll do that stuff. Now, Alex, I'm glad you're coming up on the net, man. What you mentioned a service, bro. What was the name of the service where you got those emails?
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up now. I did this, like I said, this was 6 years ago. So I'm actually I'm trying to go back as far in my email as I possibly can to see. But yeah, they send you a spreadsheet of every, like I said, I was able to filter it by schools and by churches, and you can businesses over a certain amount of employees and stuff like that. So you're not getting, businesses with one employee. I have to look. I'm still trying to find it now. It was, like I said, it was a while ago, but I know they have other ones. But give me probably like 5 minutes. I'm going to keep looking for some of these things and see if I can find it.
So the districts, I don't know what they're called in other places, but for where we live, we have like school districts. They're usually done by like city or county or whatever.
Mhm.
Those websites are going to give you the lists of all your schools in that district. So if you service those areas, those are all there. In most states, you'll be able to, like in Florida, all daycares are mandated by the Department of Children and Family Services. So you can go to their website and it will pull up every daycare actually in your state, but then you can filter it by city or zip code. And then there's also the same thing goes for churches, like in each state as well. You can filter them by zip code, city, or religious affiliation. Years ago, we did a lot of mailers. We didn't, it was a decent return, but it was tedious. And so I've moved to other ways to generate business. But it was a good way to get your foot in the door. Going back to the chamber conversation, because I literally just thought about something. It's really funny that when you join the chamber, like there's pharmacists, dentists, and those people will use you just because you're a chamber member. We had over Memorial Day weekend, we had a lady who sent us an email, and she said she had got our information from her neighbor who's a dentist, and he's a member of the chamber, and she's a pharmacist. Like, she told me all this in the email, and I was cracking up because I just thought it was like weird. But she booked a water slide for Memorial Day weekend for like $1,200. It was crazy, but these people feel like, there's loyalty there, there's respect. So, the chamber, I don't know that it would have been that way, even 5 years ago, but I think the chambers are becoming more popular. And Jamie Z, because I know there's a couple of Jamies on here. I've seen some of your posts and stuff like that, and you look like some of the chamber guys that I see, and the ideas and stuff and the questions that I see posts made me laugh when you were talking about that, because I was like, Jamie is what I think of, like our chamber has the young professionals. You're exactly what those people, remind me of, is you. So I think it would be a good fit for you, no matter how many inflatables you have.
Oh, thank you very much, Jana. And I guess in response to that, did you have to like attend the chamber meetings to get that network, or is it just kind of like, they look up your name on the list of members and just
Um,
like passing around?
So ours has a directory, and then when you join, it's like a mini celebration. It's very weird. But like they do a ribbon cutting with like snacks and drinks and all that kind of stuff. It's way over the top for me. I'm a party person, but it's just awkward because it's like all adults, and I have nothing in common with a lot of these people. But yeah, I mean, basically you're just like their go-to, and these people take it really way more seriously than I do. So most of them literally know all of each other. I mean, I think our chamber has like 350 members, and you could probably ask any one of them and they would tell you, for a bounce house, you go to do the happy bounce. And we've only been members for a short, I mean, we've been off and on over the years, but there's just a lot of loyalty there. It's weird.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gina. I appreciate that.
All right, so definitely check out your chamber, see how that goes. Next we have Vanessa. Vanessa, what are your plans for the off season? Anything exciting?
We actually don't really have an off season, so I'm kind of one of the lucky ones, unless our off season is when we get evacuated. That's really the only time that we don't do business, and I have no plan for that.
So you want to tell them where you're from, so we have an idea?
Oh, yeah. I'm in Northern California, more of like a rural area. We only have 65,000 people in our entire county. So, and this is kind of a funny thing about our county, but our county offices doesn't take a credit card that everybody seems to get a kick out of. So we're in when I say rural, it's like people like paper flyers, and it's kind of a different world it's a different world for us. But yeah, we don't really have an off season. I did join our, so in our area, we have a county chamber of commerce. And where I'm at, there's a couple of towns on the southern part of the county that kind of gets left out. So years ago, they created like their own chamber of commerce, and I actually sit on our board. So I know a little bit about it. I typically you do not have to go to the meetings. If you're a board member, they are required. But it's kind of cool because the way that ours is set up is we get to participate in the different events that they put on. So it helps. And most of those are in my area, I speak for everybody else, but they're the chamber, or we don't call it a chamber, but same concept. It's free if you're a member. Otherwise, if you're not, then you have to pay. Or it's a lesser fee if you're a member. But then they have different committees, so you help plan them, and it's all volunteer based. So I volunteer my time to sit on the board, to participate in like budget meetings, and different things like that. So I guess the only off-season thing that we would do is in December, we do an event in our, most of it's in the next town down. But they put on a big event down there, like a Christmas event.
And they rent bounce houses or obstacle courses? What do they do?
This is only the second full year that I've been a part of it. Last year, it was pretty, we had gotten shut down even more. So we had, I guess our off season was like December because we were shut down a lot more. I don't see that happening this year. Last year, had COVID not shut us down, we could have set one up. But because of COVID, I didn't want to, because I know that there's many that would be angry at us for allowing their kid to jump when COVID is going on. So we thought about setting up like a booth with popcorn, cotton candy, just concession stuff. This year we were asked to be a part of our county fair, but they turned it around on me and told me that they wanted us to not charge per bounce, or, like per person going in. So I questioned them about it, and I have yet to hear back. So, because I think they don't their carnival area can't get or like normally they have like carnival rides, they can't get the employees hired back until after the event. So because of all the extra money that's coming from unemployment. So they asked us to do it. They said, oh, by the way, we don't want you to charge. So when I asked them if they're charging for the kids to enter, it's going to be a different story. I will charge them. So we'll see how it goes. That's really the only, we're slowly getting involved in more events. So last year we were going to team up with this may sound kind of strange, but a motorcycle club. They have similar, we really like to give back to our community. We live in a very family oriented area. We're in a gated community. They do a lot of family events. So we've been, it's an HOA. So we've been close ties with our HOA office. But this motorcycle club gives back to the entire county. So our goal was to team up with them and help give back to the county. And we would have done like a paid event, but COVID shut it down. So, and we get a lot of publicity from them. They want to advertise us on their building and all kinds of stuff. So.
Well, hopefully it's a nice, profitable off season. You guys don't have one, but hopefully you guys are safe and don't get evacuated. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's jump over to, I just joined my Chamber of Commerce. What's up, man? You want to unmute yourself? Tell us about who you are actually first. You just changed your name, and what your plans are for the off season other than the chamber. You're still with us. The name's actually, I just joined my chamber. All right. So if you get this, you come back. Otherwise, go into High Roller Moon Bounce. Where are you at? What are you doing this off season?
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Hey.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. Where are you located?
Okay. Okay, so just wanted to say we're new to this thing here, man. My wife, we just started back in June. Back in February, my dad was killed by my sister's boyfriend. So his handle, he was a truck driver. His handle was High Roller. So that's where we got the name from. High Roller Moon Bounce Party Rentals. When we started, we started off very small. We had one moon bounce, 2 tables, and like 8 chairs. People was laughing at us and everything. And we just kept taking the money that we were using and kept going back in. We're still small now, but we got two moon bounces, about 100 chairs, a few tents, about 20 tables. I got a generator now, so we've just been building. And so far, so good. I don't know what I'm going to do as far as the off season as it's approaching. I'm in the Baltimore area. That's why I'm here looking for some tips. But for now we plan on adding some more slides and stuff in the off season for next season. And just keep on building. So I'm kind of here just tuned in, listening to all the great advice that you guys are sharing. I appreciate it all.
All right, well, welcome and sorry for your loss, man. Hopefully things pick up and you guys get through this.
Yep, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I think Anai just joined. It's been a while. How you doing, Anai? You've been too busy for us. Haven't seen you in a minute.
Okay. Okay. Hi. Yeah, so we're actually picking up a bounce house right now. My husband's like finishing it up. You might hear my kids storming in a little bit. So yeah, I'm part of the chamber. So I start joining committees that do stuff during the winter time. At that time, I do most of my donations and sponsorships during the winter as well. So I also do a lot of tents at that time. I try to like, be a part of all the Christmas weddings and stuff like that. So our tables and chairs and all that picks up. Alex Hoff got me into Christmas lights. That's been interesting.
Fun.
And then after January, because it's still pretty busy because I do all of that from November to January. And then February, all we do is like do maintenance on everything that we have. So tables, chairs, bounce houses, motors. That's our time to kind of gear up for the next season. And so that's how kind of we maintain our year.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. I know that you've been soaking up tons of knowledge since it's almost been a year. It's crazy. Years almost.
Yeah. It's been really nice. I stay on these groups to kind of learn more, what to do, what not to do, what to say, what not to say, like what kind of advice people give. It's just really good to hear. Kind of helps me stay on track. It also it can be a little nerve-wracking because depending on where you are in your journey, it may not be where your company is going. So it's easy to like go in the wrong direction. Like we're not going to do Christmas lights after this year. But it was a great experience. And our partner that did the Christmas lights with us, he's going to take over that. But we've made a lot of connections during that. I realized that when you're in business, you're constantly making connections, constantly networking, constantly learning something new. So I definitely try to continue to work on something, even during the slow season. Anywhere I go, super friendly, just talking to people, seeing if I could be of service anywhere. And so people constantly think that we're everywhere just because all our trucks are labeled. We're part of radio, local advertising, Google ads. And so network, every event that we do, we put our signs up. And so we're actually moving into a big warehouse in October. So I think that'll be good. Like I said, a lot of organizing happens during the slow season, which I joined an hour and a half late. So I think all of this has probably already been talked about.
No, you're good. So, I mean, you could rewatch as well on Facebook. We got a lot of different ideas on some different things people are doing. So definitely a lot that we didn't expect. So be definitely interesting. I'll try to kind of put it together and on a, like, kind of summarize it as well. It's been pretty long. But thank you to everybody who participated. Any questions or final thoughts? Love to hear from you guys.
So
Sorry, go ahead, Alex.
So I was going to just say, I couldn't find the exact site that we use, but it's called exactdata.com, and I'll share that. You can choose if you want to find by people, by business. You can type in your city, and then you're able to type in the industry, the number of employees, the location, everything down to when the company started, women-based business, like everything. So I'll share that with you guys. So you can type into the industry, you can type in school, and then you'll be able to get like teachers and principals. You can do churches, and it'll give you all the list of churches. So, I mean, like I said, that's what we use. I mean, it's not cheap, but it's a marketing expense, just like the Chamber of Commerce. You're going to have to, and Google AdWords and any type of marketing, you're going to have to spend a little bit, and, hopefully it works out. You might, waste a bunch of money, but at least you will have their emails and you can just keep email blasting them. And, even if it takes 2 years, it should eventually pay off. But like I said, I'll share that in the chat so you guys have it.
Thank you. That'll be helpful. Go ahead, Patrick.
Hey, I just had a couple questions for end of year storage. I know a lot of you guys are in the same boat as I am with not renting out over the winter. So what do you guys do to dry out your units and make sure that they don't get all nasty over the winter while they're in storage in the warehouse? So I know some of you guys got warehouses, some of you guys may be doing garage. I have a big steel building in my backyard that I use for my storage. It's not heated or cooled, so it's just there. Just wondering on some things I could do to prevent any mold or any damage to the equipment over the winter.
So what we do, we have a lot of our, obviously, like our water slides, those will set up the last rentals, and then I've heard people put baby powder on the inside of on top of the inflatable when they roll it up and stuff. I've never done that. We just set everything up. Usually it's like the beginning of October, and we just set up strictly our water slides. We only have like 6 or 7 that are just water slides that have pools at the bottom of it. And then we'll just set them up, dry them out. We'll leave them up for the day. Granted, it's still, we'll still have 85-degree days in the end of September. It's very rare, but we try to plan it so that way, when it is a nice hot day out, we'll set all the water stuff up, let it dry out. And then, during the winter months, most of our stuff still goes out. So all of our combos and stuff, we'll set them up to dry them out for the most part, but a lot of the times the stuff still goes out in the winter. But, as far as drying out the water stuff, we'll just set them up on like a nice hot end of the season day, and then we'll stop renting it. So, people will call us for a water slide, and, we'll tell them that we don't have any more available, just because once they're dried out, I don't want to have to do it again, because it's going to be hard to, keep on doing that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought about doing it.
Yeah.
Obviously we spend a lot of money on these things, so I don't want to, only get 1 year use out of it and then have it all moldy and nasty next year.
Yeah, and my first year we did it, I wasn't thinking, and I rolled one thing up wet, and we unrolled it the next year, and it actually wasn't as bad as I expected it to be. It wasn't pretty, but we spent a couple of hours cleaning it, and it actually cleaned up pretty nicely. So nothing we got ever was destroyed by any mold or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Alex is right. The most important thing is just making sure that you dry out everything completely. And then, I don't remember what state you said you were in, but a lot of people have issues with rats when they're not, if you're not using the stuff for 3 or 4, months or whatever, then just make sure that everything's up off the ground and that you have some kind of deterrent or traps or whatever. Because I can tell you, I've heard horror stories about rats chewing through units.
I'm in Tennessee. That would be horrible. Jesus.
Yeah. Even in storage units. So I would just be mindful of that.
Okay.
Do not cover we learned that as well. If anything happens, like flooding, they don't cover anything in a storage unit either. So that's something to keep in mind. If there's mice, that's your problem, even though it's their storage unit. So yeah, definitely put some deterrents or whatever, like Janice said, because they're going to be looking for warmth. We kind of, like Alex said, we don't do baby powder, but we do. I don't know. You got to make sure they're 100% dry. We put dryer sheets in them just so they don't smell. So that's something we do. And yeah, like Alex said, it's hard when you get those calls and they want to rent it and you already put it away. It's like, do I make the money and then clean it again, or do I just keep put away? It's like you learn over time. We mark them and put them to the side and just make sure that our guys don't grab them, especially when you have duplicates. But yeah, that's definitely, you're thinking ahead of your first year. Like Alex said, we didn't learn our first year either. We had to learn the hard way. So the fact that you're doing this your first year, and like Anai said, you guys are learning from all the mistakes we made. So good on you, man.
Yeah, this network that you guys set up has helped us all out. I promise you that. So
welcome.
I go to the website often, that Facebook page, and get a lot of knowledge out of you guys. This year has been great for me. It's it's way better than I thought it was. So way busier than I thought I was gonna be. I'm looking forward to hiring more people next year.
This industry, you won't find too many people say it's hard to make money in this industry. It's hard to make money the smart way or manage, the money, but you'll make money. It's just a matter of burning yourself out, or, before you know it, you're going to be on all the deliveries yourself. So you got to take care of it. It's learning how to grow smart. Making money is probably one of the easiest industries to do that in, but managing it so that you still have a life, that's the tough part. So
when you learn to work on your business, not in your business, that's another helpful tip.
Yeah, I am the business at this point. So next year I'm hoping to get a little further out of it and let the hire somebody I can trust to do deliveries and setups and all that.
Yeah, I mean, my
Without
first
doing it all.
4 years, it was all me by myself. I'm a control freak, so I wanted to make sure everything got handled perfectly and everything. And then I realized for me to scale to where I need to be, I need to kind of let go a little bit. And it's hard to do, but like I was saying, you get to a point where you either have to stop growing, or to continue to grow, you have to kind of let go a little bit and let other people step in and start working with you and for you. So
yeah, I just got to find those people here that I can trust to run stuff. So
yeah, where in Tennessee?
I'm about an hour north of Memphis.
Oh, okay.
So I'm out in the country, and honestly, every weekend I'm almost fully booked. So I'm starting to actually get some weekday deals too, which kind of hurts me because I have a regular 9-to-5 job as well. So
yeah, it's hard.
yeah, it's all right. I make it work. But like I said, I appreciate all your guys' knowledge. Thank you.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you for joining. Any final thoughts, questions, comments?
Keep on trucking.
All right. Well, you guys have been awesome. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate your time, and thank you guys all for joining. Thank you for really helping build the industry up. I mean, one day you're learning, next day you're teaching. So that's the awesome part of what we do. So we'll leave you guys to your families, and we will do something like this soon.
Thanks for sending that, man. Appreciate it.
You too. Take care.
Thanks, guys.